Hello everybody, Jack Powers back at you, aka the Time Tracker. And what we're doing here in Chronicles of Captivity is we're tracking time. We're going back through chronologically and we are telling what happened. There's a bunch of stories. It's a group of stories, like a mosaic of stories that makes up the big story. So these are just a series of small stories, steps, whatever you want to call them, episodes. So last time in Chronicle 10, we were talking about the trials, the bank robbery trials in Tampa, and how during the second bank robbery trial, I was convicted. It was just, a horror show as far as, that's what convinced me that the federal courts were just really some shit overall. That's what convinced me fully. I knew what I was up against then. But they had another trick up their sleeve, because right after I was convicted of the bank robberies, they set up and scheduled another trial right behind it for possession of stolen firearms. They charged me with being an armed career criminal under 18 United States Code Section 924E1. Now, those of you who know about the Armed Career Criminal Act, it carries 15-year minimum mandatory, and it goes all the way up to life without parole under the Sentence Reform Act. So yeah, this was a serious set of charges in the second indictment that I was facing. And again, I'm representing myself. So between the first trial and the third trial, the first bank robbery and the first gun case, I kind of broke down. I kind of lost it. I was depressed. I was angry, frustrated. I was, just to give you a blunt and candid overview, they chained me down. They took me down into the hospital of the county jail, and they chained me down to the bed. Now, there was a mattress, and I had 24 hours, there was a person sitting there watching me, like a suicide watch. But I was chained down, hands and feet, hands and feet. I was chained down. So yeah, it was uncomfortable, and I was just laying there. I mean, endless hours. I mean, a lot of times I'd make conversation with whoever the watcher happened to be, but yeah, I mean, it helped to pass some of the time, but a lot of the time it was just laying there. You couldn't get up, you couldn't do anything. So I didn't even know for sure. I thought the trial would be continued because of my condition and the fact that I'd been chained down. I hadn't been able to do any research or any study or preparation for the trial. But the trial date rolled around, and all of a sudden, they come and they get me. And they take me, they take the chains off, they let me up, let me go take a shower and shave. And when I come out, they say, okay, come with us. We're going over to the federal courthouse. I get over there, and sure enough, they take me up into the third floor. It's this big, huge, austere courtroom, federal courtroom, all wood and, all big and nice courtroom and all somber and shit. And there I am. They've got a jury sitting out there, and there's the prosecutor. They're ready to go to trial. And the judge, and I'm like, Judge, are you kidding me? We can't have this trial today. We can't start this thing. I just got up from, they just had me chained down 15, 25 minutes ago, whatever it was. They just had me chained. how are we going to proceed? We're up at a sidebar. And he's like, well, I don't know what to tell you, Mr. Powers. We're going to go ahead with this trial. And whether you want to be here or not. I'm like, what? I'm the defendant. I'm not represented by counsel, and I don't have standby counsel. There's no standby counsel appointed. So let me ask you this. How do you propose conducting a trial without any defense? Without the availability of any defense? You say, well, we have ways of doing things around here. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but we can get it done when we want to. He was referring to those other trials. You know, they're all on the same page. So away we went. I mean, but I was not in any shape to be in a trial. I was I was so worn out, I was so stressed, I was so depressed. I just laid there. I stretched out across the table and just laid my head down on the table and, you know, was pushing papers off the edge and pads and stuff to make room for myself. And I just laid there, you know, on the defense table and tried to get some sleep. And they basically just went ahead and picked the jury and started calling witnesses. And, you know, it was just a disaster. So obviously they found me guilty, and then I was up for sentencing on everything. This is just on the federal indictments. So I go in front of the old cantankerous Judge Krentzman down there in Tampa. He sentences me to 19 years and 8 months. 20 years is the max. He sentences me to 19 years and 8 months. Goes outside the guidelines. Sentences me to 19 years, 8 months. Right near the max. 4 months. Should have just gave me the whole thing. So then I go in front of the other judge, Judge Castagna. And to his credit, Judge Castagna kind of had a little bit of insight into everything. After the trial, he sort of understood a little more about who I was and what was going on and all of that. So he gave me 15 years, the minimum. But it was a minimum mandatory sentence of 15 years. He couldn't go under that. So then he ran it consecutive. He ran it consecutive to the bank counts. Although the prosecution in the bank robbery case had used those very same firearms as evidence, even though it was an unarmed bank robbery. This is stuff that I objected to over and over. How are you going to allow them to produce these guns and testify that they were in my possession, in my house, when they weren't even used in the bank robbery? When they're not even charged in this case? That's just so highly prejudicial. It's off the charts. You can't do that. Yes, we can. And we will. Go ahead, Mr. Prosecutor, present your case. Mr. Powers, sit down. I'm going to have the marshals take you to the holding cell, and you can listen to the rest of the trial from there. That's how they were. I said, okay. All right. But see, I was so fucking stupid because I still believed in the federal system. I believed that a court of appeals, once they looked at this case, once they heard about it, knew about it, and once they looked at the transcripts, I thought, oh my God, they're going to reverse this conviction so quick it isn't even funny. But I'm going to tell you what happened there too. We're going to get to that part. So I go in front of this judge and I get 15 years consecutive to the 19 years, 8 months. Plus, I picked up a contempt charge. So they gave me another 5 months and 15 days consecutive to everything else. Supposedly consecutive. They didn't say it was, but it ended up being. So there I went, off to Leavenworth. I mean, I stayed around that county jail on C200 in the Hillsborough County Jail, and then I think it was like August that they opened a brand new jail on Orient Road. So that was kind of exciting because we all moved over there, and they just came and they opened our cells and told us to leave everything except our property, and we just all went over to this brand spanking new jail. We were the very first ones to go in there, and they put us all in this special pod, but they didn't close any of the doors. The deputies that were working over there didn't know we were all supposed to be locked down, so they just left us out. And we were having a good old time. We were using the phones and playing cards and you know, hacking it up, and we were having a good old time out there, taking showers, hanging out, doing all kinds of stuff. And then they came like an hour or two later and said, okay, everybody locked down. You know, you're not supposed to be out, blah, 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 blah. Some sergeant or lieutenant or something came. So they locked us all down. Now I'm pissed off because, hey, you know, you've had me locked down for all this time. You've been depriving me of recreation. See, in Hillsborough County Jail, they wouldn't even let me outside. They let everybody else go outside for rec. Out in this area with a wall and everything. Powers, no. Powers had to stay in his cell. Couldn't get out, couldn't get fresh air. That was all through the trials and everything. It was one of the things that was making me ill, was being inside, stuck being inside all the time and watching everybody else get to go out and recreate, run around, play basketball, nice weather down there in Florida. Oh man, tore me up. So we're in this brand new jail, Orient Road, and multi-million-dollar jail. And they've got these, on the doors, they've got this glass. You know, they've got these big panels of glass. So I had smuggled in a lighter, and I had like this tobacco. This guy had stolen this bottle of, what was it called? Some kind of a, I think it was Vistaril, but he had stolen this bottle off the medication cart at the old jail, and he was dipping these handmade cigarettes in it, and then he was just giving them out. He wasn't even selling them, he was just walking around giving them out and talking about, you know, this will get you high and stuff and make you feel good and everything. So I had a lighter and I had one of those Vistaril smokes or whatever it was. So I said, okay, I'm gonna fire this up. So I fired it up, and one of the guards came around, saw me, you know, sitting there smoking this Vistaril. My eyes were probably all bloodshot, and I don't know. But, you know, he wanted to make a big deal about it. Wanted the lighter, wanted to come in and search the cell and everything. So, you know, I said, look, go ahead and get the lieutenant down here. I need to talk to the lieutenant. You ain't talking to no lieutenant. I handle this unit. This is my unit. You're gonna do what I tell you to. I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, really, really. I said, watch this then. And I just took my fist and I went, blam! And just right in the middle of that glass, I just punched right through it. I mean, my hand didn't actually go through it, just mentally I was punching through it. And it just shattered it, just broke it. And then I just kept punching it, boom, 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 until it opened up, until pieces just fell out on the other side. And that dude just took off running for the door. He's on his radio, help, help, or whatever he was saying, you know. And yeah, he thought I was coming out there after him. So yeah, they took me then and put me in another section that was supposed to be like the hole. You know, I jerked around over there too, you know. Finally, they ended up letting me get outside to get some rec. A lieutenant came down and said, you know, Powers, I'm gonna let you get outside and get some exercise. I notice that you're getting your recreation off on us in here. You got a lot of frustration, anger, and anguish built up, and I'm gonna get you outside. I'm gonna let you outside. So he let me outside to get rec, and him and about 3 other officers would be out there with me. I'd be the only one wrecking with them, and so they could keep an eye on me and stuff. But I'd go out there and run a little bit, play a little basketball, get a little fresh air. And then one day they just came and got me. They just came. The U.S. Marshals came to the jail, and I went out. And they gave me my property. I had, some jewelry, nice watch, and I think the money was going out of my wallet. But I had a wallet, I believe, at that time. They gave me back. So we get in this car, this unmarked car, and we just start driving toward Orlando. And I'm wondering, what the hell is going on? Where am I going? And I'm asking them. And they stop at some other county jail along the way. I think it was Hernando County. And they drop me off. They put me in Hernando County. It's like a Friday. So when I get in Hernando County, guess what they do? They take me, they don't really even book me in or anything. It's just, they take me straight into the jail, take me upstairs to this floor that just had glass cells. All the cells had this big floor-to-ceiling glass, safety glass all around them. There's about 10 cells up there. And it was all chicks. I swear to God, it was all women. There was not another dude up there. It was like some kind of medical thing. And that evidently was the only cell that they had, or the only one that they thought was secure enough. And they put a guard right outside my door, of course, to sit there and take notes and, keep a direct eye on me. But there was this chick right across, just diagonal from me, and she's in a glass cell too. And man, I'm telling you, she had some hooters on her. I mean, wow. They were the kind that just stood up, and and she was maybe, I don't know, 17, 18. She was young. I mean, I was young. And man, she just, that scene in Cool Hand Luke where the girl's out there washing the car and just really getting into it and making sure that those convicts that are out there in the ditch with their yo-yos and bush axes are sweating it, watching her. Yeah, that's what she did to me. But she had my full attention. And maybe they put her there just to keep my attention throughout the weekend, but she did a good job of it. And so Monday morning, they came back, the marshals, and picked me up, and we went on to Orlando. And we went to the airport there. So when we come back for Chronicle number 12, I'll tell you about our flight and the transfer process in the federal system, Con Air they call it. So this is Jack Powers, also known as Time Tracker. I'm giving you the Chronicles of Captivity in order, chronological order. And so we're up to the point of being transferred to a federal prison.